Let me let you address some social media criticism you've gotten. Matt Bennett from the Clinton-Gore era. This is insane behavior. John Anzalone, pollster most recently for President Biden.
Yeah.
$20 million should be spent on swing state legislative races, meaning state legislative races, and down ballot, not on this. Steve Shale, a Florida Democratic strategist, saying the DNC's vice chair should be focused on this kind of engagement, meaning engaging in places in battleground states where Democrats have lost ground, not over which Dem in a plus 20 seat should be primaried and knocked out.
You know, look at the last results of the previous election. Those are the purported experts that brought us here. Just to say, it's not personal, right? I don't take those attacks personally in this regard. This is a strategic disagreement.
They've got no message. They've got no movement. They've got no leader. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. I mean, you're defending Harvard. You're traveling to El Salvador for MS-13 gang members. But here's the point. You're taking $20 million. If I'm looking at someone, my vice chair of the RNC, taking $20 million for another effort, it's $20 million out of the DNC's pocket. You can't be on the board of the Fishing and Forest Company and on Greenpeace at the same time. There are places for groups to hold the party accountable. I think it's right.
Well, yeah, let me push back against that. This was not an MS-13 gang member, and you damn well know that.
Oh, come on.
He was not.
Okay,
and
so keep defending this guy.
The administration admitted this was wrong. In America, we have due process, and we are in land of law and order.
All right, I love it so much, though, the David Hogg of all of it, and now the Democrats
girls are fighting.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's like housewives now. And they're leaking to the press to be like, David, prepare yourself. We're going to yell at you later today. It's like the renowned singer JoJo says, it's too little too late. Like, you can't change it now, Democrats. The arsonist is in the house next to the firefighters.
Boy. So we got to talk about more DNC drama involving David Hogg, okay, who is determined to basically set the Democrat Party on fire by primarying Democrats who are not woke enough, right? That is the plan that David Hogg came out with. He said that he is spending $20 million to primary Democrats. Now, the Democrats are really upset by this, right? In fact, they're in panic mode over this, and it looks like they're trying to force out David Hogg, okay? In fact, a report has come out basically stating that the Democratic National Committee is going to force David Hogg to choose between his work with the DNC and challenging Democratic incumbents in the primaries. Basically, they're going to essentially make a rule that states that no, you can't challenge Democrats in the primaries if you're going to be a leader at the DNC.
Let me be unequivocal. No DNC officer should ever attempt to influence the outcome of a primary election, whether on behalf of an incumbent or a challenger. If you want to challenge incumbents, you're more than free to do that, but just not as an officer of the DNC, because our job is to be neutral arbiters. We can't be both the referee and also the player at the same time.
Right. So let's read here. DNC Chair Ken Martin will be announcing new rules in a Thursday call, which will include keeping DNC members neutral in primaries, first reported by Notice. The rule would need to be passed and implemented in August. The news comes on the heels of Hogg announcing $20 million in financing to shake up Democratic primaries across the country. The gun control advocate said spending the money through his Leaders We Deserve group would help welcome in younger and more diverse representatives. Hogg co-founded and is president of Leaders We Deserve, but he'd essentially be forced to step away should the DNC implement these new bylaws. The plan has come under fire from some Democrats questioning Hogg's involvement in primaries and his role as DNC vice chair. Longtime Democratic strategist James Carville recently called Hogg a contemptible twerp and suggested the DNC sue him. At this point, again, Democrats, they are victims of the extremism that they have fostered in their party, right? I mean, they took this guy, David Hogg, and they made him a superstar. And now all of a sudden, that's coming back to bite him in the ass because David Hogg is spending money to oust the Democrats, right? The same Democrats that gave this guy a platform that, let's be honest, this guy's in over his skis, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of this really is about the fact that the lunatics are taking over the Democrat Party, okay? Like the AOCs of the world, who are currently doing this Fight the Oligarchy tour, which is kind of funny because AOC was spotted flying a private jet, okay, to, again, fight the oligarchy, okay, in a private jet, when before in the past, she advocated for Elon to fly 100% commercial if he's so confident. Also, on top of that, these are the same people that claim they care about the climate so much. But yet, again, AOC got caught flying private, okay, even though, again, she claims to be an advocate of flying commercial. She says she does fly commercial. I commute to DC on either rail or commercial flight. Believe it or not everyone wants to screw over the public for personal profit. A bizarre idea to many these days. Yeah, so again, it's pretty funny because again, AOC got caught leaving a private jet with her and Socialist Sanders, right? Bernie Sanders, right? They fight the oligarchy in a private jet. This is modern day progressives. Massive hypocrites, okay? Massive hypocrites. Regardless, the damage has been done, right? In the sense that, again, you have the lunatics. They are motivated to try to take over the Democrat Party. And that includes Jenk Huger, who just announced an initiative to try to oust Democrats who aren't woke enough to, right? So basically what you have here is a full-blown revolt against the Democrat establishment, and you have all the progressive groups coming out the woodwork and say, you know what, we're getting rid of you establishment Democrats. And again, all this has to do with Trump derangement, right? This is the fault of the Democrats because they've radicalized their party so much against Trump that the far left of their party feels like they're not doing enough to fight Trump. So now they're turning on the Democrats. They're saying, all right, we got to get you out of here because you're not doing enough, right? And again, that's the most hilarious part about it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and react to Chris Cuomo interviewing Jenk about his plan to overthrow the Democrat Party.
I would argue that President Trump is making it easy for the Democrats to show that they have better ideas, but that party seems determined to get it wrong. They got Bernie and AOC running around the country selling that government is the solution to everything, socialistic ideas. They have their lawmakers running to El Salvador when they didn't go to East Palestine. I mean, WTF. The California governor, Gavin Newsome, he said, and I'm sure he thinks that this is a campaign of candor for him. I don't know what the Democratic Party is. Here's what he's getting wrong. You're supposed to know, my brother. You're supposed to know. If you want to be a leader, you can't just go on some listening tour. Leaders lead. They have a vision. They do know. So I guess he's saying he's out. So then who's in?
Well, I mean, let's be honest with Gavin Newsome. He is whoever he needs to be, right? I mean, in California, he was a far left progressive, and now all of a sudden he wants to pretend to be a moderate. So yeah, of course he can't really lead anything because, again, he's trying to lead the party from a position that he doesn't really believe in, right? He's not a real moderate. He's one of these far leftists, okay? So yeah, of course he is basically confused about what the Democrat Party is doing because at the very least he's smart enough to understand that his brand of politics, progressivism, is not going to work with the general public. But clearly the base of the Democrat Party, they don't want to go in the direction that they need to go in, right? They don't want to go to the center, right? They want to go even further left. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Gavin Newsome is struggling right now to understand what's happening to his party because, again, his party, again, is just not smart enough. They're actually radicalized, right? They are real Kool-Aid drinkers when it comes to Trump derangement and progressivism. And that is why it seems like his party is just hell-bent on not becoming a party of common sense anymore. They just want to become more and more and more deranged and left-wing, which, again, you know, hey, if that's what they want to do, they're going to have a hard time winning general elections.
I'll tell you who wants to be in. Co-founder of the Young Turks, Jenk Huger. Just an hour ago, he launched what he's calling a rebellion movement. I'd say that's redundant. I think he just needs rebellion. He is certain that he knows how to put Democrats back on the path to victory. He is here by the ever reasonable, always optimistic, Geraldo Rivera. It is good to have you both. Geraldo, you listen to Jenk's pitch, Thanks. And then we'll pick at him about it. Jenk, first of all, thank you for doing something. What's the rebellion? Why do you think you can take over the party?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. So we need a rebellion because obviously this Democratic Party isn't working. It's at 26%. They lost to Donald Trump. They lost the popular vote, all 7 swing states. So what do they need? I believe that they need economic populism. Donald Trump pretended to be a populist, but as you see now, he isn't. He's passing $5.5 trillion in tax cuts. Today he said, oh, no, of course we're not going to raise taxes on the rich. So it's the same old Republican Party giving away trillions of dollars to the rich and to corporations. But this country wants populism. And the correct answer, in my opinion, is left-wing populism. So what does that mean? It just means bring the Democratic Party back to its roots. What we're going with on rebellionpact.com is the 6 most popular proposals the Democrats have, which, by the way, a lot of independents agree with, a lot of even Republicans agree with. So we're not just planning to run in blue districts as we did when I started Just Democrats. We're planning to run in purple districts and red districts. So higher wages, paid family leave, make sure that we got lower drug prices by negotiating at Medicare, lower housing prices, money out of politics, anti-war. This is a super popular plank, and now we're joined by Ro Khanna, who has joined the rebellion, and he's the first sitting congressman to do that. And on top of that, we've got Richard Ojeda running in North Carolina 9th district. That's an R+10, but we're going to win that district. We're being very bold here, and when we win those purple and red districts, we're going to make a case to the American people. We're leading. We have a plan. We already displaced Trump's power in Congress in 2026. Now trust us to run the party in 2028, and we'll bring it back to what it used to be, representing the average man.
So Jenk is not only trying to challenge Democrats who aren't far left enough, but he's also trying to challenge Republicans. And he really believes that basically going to these red districts and pushing socialism is going to help progressives win in purple and red districts, right? This is what this man believes. But I want people to understand, do not get fooled by these people, okay? Progressives are some of the biggest swindlers that you can find in politics. And the reason why is because they sell people pipe dreams, right? They want you to believe that we can have free daycare, we can have free college, we can have free health care, we can have free federal jobs, right? All they do, right? The only solution they ever have to anything is just more free stuff, right? That's all they have. They have no real solutions outside of, well, we just want more free stuff, okay? And we want to, quote unquote, tax the rich to pay for it. The problem is what they don't understand is that in reality, that never works out. And ultimately, at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff leads to massive inflation. These are the same people who wanted to spend $10 trillion, okay, during the pandemic. That is what they wanted to do.
Here that there were going to be 2 separate bills, and we had already had those conversations, but when it was clear, remember, the investment kept going down, down, down. And we were like, no, because we need this investment. We need, like you said, the money. That was more money for lead pipes than what we had. I think
it was 3.9 trillion. Did it start at 3.9 and go down, or did it?
We were at, I thought we were at 10, and then it went down to 6, and then down to 3, then it went down to 1.7, I believe.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand. Again, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to these progressives. They say a bunch of things that sound great, but when it comes to the actual reality, when it comes to actual execution, that's when it's a real problem, okay? Because again, can you guys imagine the hyperinflation we would be facing if progressives got their way, right? If progressives were allowed to spend $10 trillion, which is what they wanted to do during the pandemic. Oh, you think inflation's bad right now? Oh, inflation would have went up to maybe 20, 30%, right? That's probably what would have happened. There's no doubt in my mind that's what would have happened. Again, look at the results of these progressive policies in all of these liberal cities. I would never let a progressive run anything. I wouldn't let a progressive run a Taco Bell, to be honest with you, okay? So yes, Jenk is upset calling Trump a fake populist because President Trump came out and said, yeah, we're not really thinking about increasing the marginal rate for millionaires, okay, which is a rumor that was floating out there that the GOP was thinking about implementing that. Apparently, that's something they're not going to do. But regardless, when you look at the proposals of no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, these are all populist economic policies, okay? And the GOP hasn't passed their tax plan yet, so we don't really know exactly what's going to be in it. But to say that President Trump is a quote-unquote fake populist is crazy to me, just because he doesn't believe in left-wing economic populism, which again is just socialism, to be honest with you. Yeah, that doesn't mean that he's not a populist. Okay, I would say lowering taxes on the middle class is a populist position, right? I would say that's a very populist position. But see, what these people, these progressives believe in, they don't believe in people keeping their own money. No, they believe in taking your money and redistributing it to people who aren't productive. That's what they believe in, right? This is why they want all these government programs for people who don't want to work, okay? That's what they want. That's what they believe in. And I just will never get on board with this type of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, if they want to blow money trying to run progressives in red districts, hey, be my guest. I think that you're going to be burning money on fire because people with common sense aren't going to vote for this stuff. But this is what Jenk is trying to do.
So my question for him, Geraldo, is he needs a top dog. I'm wondering if he says it's him or has he got somebody else in mind. But what do you think, Geraldo?
Well, I think Ro Khanna, if indeed the congressman from Silicon Valley has joined this rebellion, I think that is a very impressive gesture. He's my favorite lawman. I believe that he has a tremendous future, and he seems like a pragmatic progressive, not a crazy person. I also think that you gave maybe short shrift to the establishment Democrats. I think either Gavin Newsome or Josh Shapiro could beat Trump if the election were held right now. I think that...
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Now, I don't believe if an election was held right now that Gavin Newsome or Josh Shapiro would beat President Trump. I think a lot of what you're saying in regards to this idea that people are regretting their votes is media narrative. I mean, even CNN came out with a poll basically showing that, yeah, most people are not regretting their votes, right? If they could redo the election, they're going to vote for President Trump. I don't think that people are going to turn around and vote for Gavin Newsome or Josh Shapiro. They don't have enough name recognition, right? And people forget, Democrat Party, their ratings, their leadership ratings are in the tank, okay? Absolutely in the tank, okay? President Trump's rating, the GOP ratings are much higher than the Democrats at this point. I think a lot of this propaganda against President Trump, again, is a creation of the media, is not actually a reflection of the real conditions in this country, in the sense that most people have not been affected by the tariffs, okay? Despite all the fear-mongering from the media, most people have not been affected by it. Inflation is the lowest that it's been in 4 years, okay? That is a fact. The border is closed. We have mass deportations. We're trying to end the war in Ukraine, okay, in Russia. These are all good things that are happening in this country. And for whatever reason, the media is trying to pretend that the world is falling because Wall Street is upset, right? That's all that's happening right now, right? But again, when you talk about people's lives, I don't think people's lives have gotten worse under President Trump. President Trump hasn't even had a chance to pass his economic policies yet, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, all this rush to judgment, okay, from the media is very, very, very premature, considering how his landslide legislation has not been passed, right? They have not passed it yet. I mean, he hasn't even begun to really do the things that he wants to do. And again, these people are trying to pretend as if, oh, the world is falling apart because of President Trump. It's all nonsense. That's what it is.
Trump's definitely tanked a lot of his support, along with the stock market. And the one thing you can't mess with is people's financial security, particularly because so many of the activists or most reliable voters are older folks who, are counting on a 401k or IRA, right, or whatever it is to see them through. So I don't think, and I also think that the rebellion space is kind of taken up now by Bernie Sanders and AOC getting, energized crowds in the tens of thousands. All due respect, Jake, I'm a fan of yours. I don't expect that you'd be getting much more than, in the hundreds, maybe the low thousands. I don't see you, steaming them up. Maybe a lot's changed since I've heard you speak to crowds. But it just, I don't know. I think Trump is beatable. He's beatable brass taxes.
He's
issues.
beatable.
He screwed
beatable,
up this
Geraldo.
tariff thing terribly.
He's screwing it up. We'll see what he does. He's beatable because he can't run. So, Jenk, the central theory, though, is how do you displace AOC and Bernie?
So there's no need to displace AOC and Bernie. I don't have any problem with what they're doing. I think they're doing a great job with the rallies. We might, you guys and I might disagree on some of that, but this has absolutely nothing to do with me. I'm part of the people who founded this organization, and I'm on the board of it. Cara Eastman, another great progressive Democrat, is is the executive director right now. Brianna Wu's on the board with me. So this is a giant organization. And we've got one other candidate coming out on May Day. He's another excellent populist. So this is not vis-a-vis Bernie or AOC at all. But it's also not like, guys, we're going for economic populism. So I'm planting our flag here, and I'm saying if you believe we should go with our most popular policies, and you believe we should go with economic populism, and you think that should be our focus, then come to rebellionpact.com. We're accepting candidates, we're accepting volunteers, and obviously we'll take donations as well. But Ro Khanna is a super strong voice, and I love what Geraldo said about him. And he's so reasonable, he's so pragmatic, and he puts a great face to progressivism and shows people, hey, look, he calls it economic patriotism. So I think he's one of the really bright lights in our party, and I'm thrilled that he's with us. One of the other things we're going to do, guys, is unlike the establishment Democrats, we're going to be all over media. We're not shy about media. I'm not. No, the other co-founders are. Certainly Ro Khanna, Richard Ojeda, all these guys.
You're getting that. You're talking mechanics where you don't yet have a philosophy. It seems to me you put
we do have a philosophy.
Ahead of the horse here. Well, I heard you, but you sounded an awful lot like a lot of Democrats I've heard over the years. With all due respect, a lot of liberal Democrats. You want to feed the hungry. You want the minimum wage and etc. What about DEI? What about the fact that
they want socialism? That's what they want, right? And they call it economic populism, right? But it's really just socialism. Left-wing economic populism is socialism. Okay, that's what these people want. That's what they're advocating for. And there are a lot of fools, right, who will fall for this stuff. But, Cenk tried to run in the Democrat primary, and he got, less than 1%? I mean, how do you think he got 1% of the vote? So, again, is this guy's movement really a serious thing? Who knows? I'm just saying that there's a lot of people now being motivated to try to take over the Democrat Party due to, again, the fact is that these people become so Trump deranged that they feel like the Democrat Party is not Trump deranged enough. So now you have all these people starting up these movements, these PACs, raising money in order to basically try to take over the party. That's what's happening.
Race plays such a noxious role. What about the fact that this is really a country divided, not so much class. I know we like to make it, as colorblind as possible, but there's race is the core of a lot of the distrust between groups. I think that what you need is someone popular as well as populist. You need someone with magnetism, with the charisma, who can compete against probably J.D. Vance, I would expect, or Don Jr., maybe. I think that the Republicans are square. Trump is one in a trillion. He's the only movie star they've had since Ronald Reagan, the only one they're likely to have going forward. But I don't see where you squeeze in. I think when you're getting a new product in a market, you go to the store, you go to the Target, wherever it is. Where's my space in the shelf? I'm not sure where the rebellious Democrat space in the shelf.
What kind of ketchup are you, Jenk?
Yeah, so some of those are good questions, Geraldo. So first of all, on culture wars, this group isn't doing culture wars. We're focusing on economic issues. So we're not interested in having those debates that are wedge issues that drive us apart. And we talk to the other side. We're willing to talk to everybody. I took a lot of heat for going on right-wing podcasts, independent podcasts, and I'm totally in favor of that. We lost the popular vote. Good. We need to regain the popular vote. And you do that by reaching out to independents. At this point, Donald Trump is intensely unpopular. Last poll that came out is he's at 40% approval, 59% disapproval. You know why? Because a lot of independents voted for him, and they got screwed. And we're giving a real option here now. This is not the same old Democratic.
Again, I don't think Cenk really understands the electorate like he claims that he does, right? Because he really believes that he can run these progressives who are not going to, quote unquote, engage in the culture war, aka we're not going to engage on issues that we're unpopular on, right? Basically, we're just not going to engage. The problem is that when you choose to actively not engage, essentially what you are doing is that you are allowing yourself to be lumped in with the far left, right? Because ultimately, in the day, all these people that they're going to run, they're all going to be far left progressives, right, on social issues. They're just not going to talk about it, right? And that's the same strategy that the DNC is trying to do. That's the same thing that the establishment Democrats are trying to do. Well, let's just not talk about these issues that we're unpopular on, right? But again, the problem is that the far left of your base, they care more about these culture issues than the economic populism. Let's keep it 100. They do. They care about so-called trans rights. They care about DEI and racism and all this stuff. So to say that you're not going to talk about it, to me, again, suggests that they are basically trying to thread a needle that is going to be extremely hard to thread, because the base of the Democrat Party, the progressive base, they have zero tolerance for that, right? They have zero tolerance for neutrality when it comes to these culture war issues. So I personally think that, once again, Jake is in over his skis. He's going to spend a whole lot of money, make a whole lot of noise, and not accomplish a damn thing, because honestly, he doesn't know as much as he think he knows, right? Let's be real. This is the same dude who thought that Kamala would win, right? He pretends that he got it right and that he was warning about Kamala losing to Trump, but no, this dude predicted that Kamala would win, and he was wrong. Once again, he was wrong about trying to jump into the Democrat primary to force Joe Biden out, and he's wrong on this, okay? People do not want this radical socialism that this guy is pushing, at least people who know better. And I think they're going to find out, right? They're going to find out the hard way that this is not what the American people want. But who knows, right? Who knows? Again, there are a lot of gullible people in this country who will sign up for this nonsense. But again, my overall point is that now the Democrat revolt has inspired a lot of these rebellion movements that are happening within the party. Some of them targeting Democrats, some of them targeting Republicans, but still, okay, this is what you're seeing. The progressives are really trying to just take over the Democrat Party. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.